Alright, welcome back to Hilo Sports World, everyone. And in this video, as you can see by the title, I'll be talking about the recently concluded UFC 270 pay-per-view. And without wasting any time, let's get straight into it.
Motion. Are you even here?
Okay, so before I get into all the contractual drama between Francis Ngannou and the UFC, I think it's fair that I talk about the main event in general. So before this fight, I made this bold prediction by claiming that if this fight went past into the second or deep into the third round, there are chances of Ngannou getting tired, and from there onwards, the fight would rather favor Ciryl Gane instead. And I also mentioned that if that were to be the case, then it wouldn't be a factor of Ngannou's strength and his immense power, and it would simply be a factor of Francis's durability instead. Now, I did think that Ciryl Gane would have been way more superior in that department in terms of durability in the fight, but I was very wrong as it turned out. If this fight goes into the third, fourth, or fifth round, there are high chances that Ngannou's gas tank will be tested here, and then it won't be a factor of patience anymore. Then it will be simply a factor of stamina and durability, and I do believe that Gane is way superior to Ngannou when it comes to those two. So the conclusion of this is that Ngannou doesn't get if Ngannou doesn't get the knockout inside round one or round two, Ciryl Gane is taking this fight to deep waters and getting the job done. I think Gane's fight IQ is going to lead him to take this fight into the latter rounds and get the victory. And just because of that, I think I will stick with a win for Ciryl Gane here. But of course, it's a fight. And like I said, I'm obviously not ruling out an explosive KO win for Ngannou as well. Now, here's the thing though. I think a majority of us knew that Francis would get tired and his stamina would be in question. And in all fairness, that is pretty much what happened. I mean, Ngannou was a tad bit tired after the first round, and I think by the point the fight reached the second round, Ngannou was simply breathing with his mouth open, and we could see signs of him being tired. But from that third round onwards, the way Francis Ngannou turned that fight around for himself in his favor, I think you could just call it the champion's mentality, regardless of how cliched it sounds. Now, there are, of course, more technical factors attached to it, and I'll get to those. But like I said, once again, it all came down to Ngannou's durability, and he certainly proved me wrong. But who would have thought that Ngannou would pull something off as such in a fight that went full 5 rounds? The last time we saw Francis go the full 5 rounds to a decision was against Stipe Miocic in 2018, and we all saw what happened there. Like, honestly, I genuinely didn't think that this is how a 5 round Francis Ngannou fight would turn out to be in 2022. Okay, now getting down to the technical aspect of this fight, Francis Ngannou's takedowns were obviously why he was able to turn this fight around in his favor, and it's not simply just the takedowns. I think it's his ridiculous amount of strength advantage that Ngannou had over Gane, and I think that eventually caught up with Gane's level of confidence as well. And for someone who had never been taken down in the UFC before to get slammed like that was, I think, it's just ridiculous. And then as soon as Gane got back up, Ngannou took him down for a brief moment with that leg trip, even though that wasn't really an official takedown. But yeah, Francis did get the second takedown later in the round, so I think that caused a lot of damage to Gane's confidence in general. So, beginning of that fourth round, I think that's where you could clearly see how tired Gane was starting to look. And by the fifth round, I think Ngannou realized that he had already done enough to win this fight after losing the first 2 rounds, of course. I mean, as much as I hate to use this term, Francis pretty much laid and prayed in that final 1.5 minutes. But much to his credit, he had more ground control time by that point in the fight, and it obviously got the job done. But nonetheless, a big win for Francis Ngannou. I'm glad he pulled off this win after everything he had to go through in the lead up to this fight. As for Ciryl Gane, though, I'm sure he'll be back. He's a great fighter himself, and of course, these coming few months should really, really be interesting in the top half of the heavyweight division. Okay, now getting down to the bigger story here. So after the fight, Dana White refusing to put the belt around Francis Ngannou's waist, and I honestly think that was really uncalled for. Like, Dana not showing up to the press conference was still fine, but him not putting the belt around the heavyweight champion himself makes the situation a lot more worse than it already is. Like, I already said this in my prediction video that Ngannou's contract situation was the bigger story here, and not a single journalist asked Francis about the whole drama with the UFC at the UFC 270 press conference. But yeah, like, I don't want to get into details regarding this, obviously, knowing that Dana White is yet to make a statement regarding the whole situation after UFC 270. And now Francis Ngannou coming out and saying that the UFC's suing him apparently. Like, the whole thing is just an absolute mess. But yeah, I've said this before. At the end of the day, I think the UFC will simply let Ngannou's contract play out, as he now requires surgery as well. So it's quite unlikely that he won't. It's quite likely that he won't be fighting this year. And once Ngannou is a free agent in December, the UFC will probably just go ahead and book John Jones versus Stipe Miocic for the vacant title, for the vacant heavyweight title. So yeah, it seems pretty obvious to me at this point, but yeah, I of course don't think Francis should be fighting for a total of 600k. He has all the right to go and test his skills in boxing, and maybe he'll fight Tyson Fury in a few years. Who knows? Anyway, so that's it for this video. I know my prediction wasn't exactly on point, but I do like to think that I got a few things right here and there regarding this fight. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.